Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our first, I believe, definitely, our first post-PAX show. I'm definitely recognizing a couple of wonderful faces and names in the chat right now that were present at PAX East. Wonderful Ryson, Lady Monkey, hello. It's a pleasure to see you again. I hope you've been looking after yourselves in the background. And, of course, Mr. Punter himself, and Nerdy Bird and Corey in the background. It is always a pleasure to see you folks. We do have another wonderful guest on the show with us today. If you were at PAX East, you maybe came across as a pretty amazing human being, the wonderful Ricardo, one of the developers of the game, Those Who Remain, which is what we're going to be looking at today. And he's going to be joining us and kind of sharing a few of his stories and explanations and a little bit of background about the game as I very slowly and cautiously, because I am a huge coward, make my way through the games. Okay, so let's pull, because we should have this handsome devil's face with us as well, if I get this right. Hello there.
Okay, here I am.
There we go. There we go. We have our wonderful, wonderful Ricardo. So a few of you may recognize this guy over in the corner here. You may have seen him wandering around during PAX East. You may have even had the pleasure of spending a little bit of time and a little bit of his company during the course of the event. Can I just get, because he sounds amazing to me, but he always does, can I just get a quick audio check, for his speaker for you folks? Can the fine folks at home hear him okay? Ricardo, can you say it was the best of times, it was the worst of times for me?
It was the best of times.
I think
You hear me?
we will just hold fire for 2 seconds. He's a bit quiet. Well, allow me to turn him up. I do have quite a commanding voice, so you need to outshout me, Ricardo. Right, there we go. Let's try again.
Yeah, okay. Wait. Let me raise the input level of my...
We're doing it live, folks.
What now? It's all good?
Keep on talking. Just keep on talking. Introduce yourself. Have a little run. Have a little monologue. This is your time to shine, Ricardo.
Hello. Hello, I'm Ricardo from Camel 101, and to those who don't know me, I'm one of the developers of Those Who Remain.
Thank you for the host, Erratic Agent.
From Bulgaria to...
I don't know. I've been called some things in my time,
but never wonderful.
but never wonderful. Never wonderful. Only by a select few. Very select few, with questionable judgment. Okay, how does that sound, folks? Is that a little better, audio-wise? Does it sound a little good for y'all? Oh, look at you typing away in the chat as well. You've done this before, haven't you? You've done this before, haven't you? Fantastic. A little better. We'll turn him up a tiny bit more. First time streamer, long time listener. We'll turn them up a little bit for you. Okay, so 1 moment.
I'm still
I need a cough
juggling
button.
I'm still juggling a bit with the sound settings.
No, you sound okay on this end. You sounding good. Or do you mean on your side?
Yeah, but now I can hear my voice too.
Well, you can hear your voice. See, he gets all his fancy. He gets his fancy new hardware, and all of a sudden it all goes Pete-tong. It's fine. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go. Because honestly, he's the guy with the voice that you want to hear twice. So I'm okay with this. But never mind. And while Ricardo gets his audio set, and we go through these last-minute twitches, literal twitches in this nature, Wonderful Monkey, Rice and Cakes, Chirad, and of course Erratic Agent jumping in there with the host. Thank you very much for jumping in. Now, as mentioned, the main purpose of the stream today is we are going to be deafened by microphones being moved. we are going to be running through an early section of Those Who Remain. Those of you that have maybe seen any of the press coverage that's been coming out as a result of PAX, or the press tour that came out just before we went out to Boston, may be somewhat familiar with this portion of the game, but you are going to have the benefit of this fine gentleman here basically sharing all the ins and outs and all of the little Easter eggs and all of the little references that come along with, you know, being the guy that actually put the entire thing together, or one of them, of course, not discounting the hard work of the other team members on there. So, just before we dive in, I do see a couple of you have said that you are having a little bit of a moment with the game yourselves at PAX, and we hope you enjoyed it. General feedback was a lot of people came away feeling super positive about it, which is always nice to hear. But what we would like to hear as we're rolling through this, of course, is while you were at the event, you likely had a handful of questions. You likely had any kind of burning desire for information that you might not have had the opportunity to ask one of the Wired staff or, you know, Ricardo himself during the event. Please feel free to throw them out here. We do have a handful, and we did poll people on Twitter and in the Discords before the show. So we do have a handful locked and loaded, but of course we are more than willing to answer anything you have in the chat as we go along. So don't be shy, please. We love hearing it. You hate the spider ball things? Yeah, I'm kind of on board with that, and I've got a bone to pick with you about that, Ricardo. We'll point them out specifically when we... The spider balls, especially around the gas station. They're the ones that kind of lurk in the tall grass, and the one that's like on the roof. Oh. And you know, the spider... Yeah. Not cool with those. I'm a huge arachnophobe. Honestly, it takes quite a lot to spook me in a video game. I'm not scared easily, but those spiders I was not happy with. I genuinely did not enjoy them. So
everyone loves spiders, right?
No, just no. Not cool with the spiders. Not cool with them. I'm with you on that one, Ryson. 100%. So we'll get the game up and running, and we'll get ourselves sorted. One thing I'm just going to say before we dive in, like from a pure presentational point, I absolutely love this main menu. I think it is super cool. I think it encompasses, for those that are a little bit more familiar with the story of the game, great amount of mystery, great amount of tragedy, great amount of everything wrapped up in one kind of animated back image. And of course that kind of Alan Wake feel of that kind of smoky, trees blowing kind of Americana. I absolutely adore it. So,
and let me just add, the bicycle is a very important part of the story.
100%. So, for those that haven't got that far in the game, then you know where we're at. But if you know, then you know. Then you know. Okay. Let's get going. So we're going to let the intro run. We'll have a brief discussion of the intro and the setting of the game, and then we'll run, okay?
Everything seems to be taken for granted. Losing something makes you realize how lucky you are. Then everything starts falling apart. Eventually, your past life feels like a distant dream. A movie you saw a long time ago. You become someone that you don't recognize. What's the point? I keep hurting everyone that loves me. The moment my wife needed me the most. Maybe it's time.
Is that low? Okay, turn it up. Oh god, that got loud super quick there. Is that audio any better on yours end?
I can't do this anymore. Andrea doesn't deserve
it. Sounds good here.
I'm gonna break up with Diane. It's happening tonight.
Okay, so first of all, Yuki, thank you so much for jumping in there and pointing out the audio on there. It's always a thing. You look at the levels. Those of you that stream will be aware of this struggle. Yeah, you look at the levels. Everything's green. Everything looks cool. But let's be honest. It never is. Those bars are liars and thieves and scoundrels and everything in between. So yeah. So from minute one, we kind of get a real kind of indication that the protagonist of the game, Edward, is kind of not somebody that is coated in glory. He very much has. He is very much not the completely knight in shining armor kind of Mary Sue protagonist that a lot of games kind of portray themselves in here. As is the case with a lot of the characters in this game, very flawed in some quite human ways, and it opens up with him basically saying that he is in the midst of this kind of moral moment of kind of introspection, where he kind of wants to walk away and go speak to this woman, this Diane, that he's been having an affair with. And that there's been some kind of, a change of heart as to where his life priorities lay. Would you say that's a good assessment as far as the start of the game?
That is a really nice assessment and a perfect description of the main character. We could have made the simple and obvious character who's a nice guy and who arrives in the place to save the day, but we wanted to create something a bit more complex.
Right.
That's a bit more like reality. In reality, people make mistakes. They make bad things. And so the main character is not really a bad guy. He's just a guy who's
made some bad decisions. Right. Well, 100%. And honestly, like that is something that I feel genuinely has a quite a hard root in horror as a genre, especially something more akin to Those Who Remain or some of the other games that you kind of listed as influences or kind of touchstones that are kind of inspired parts of this particular game. When you look at the types of like Silent Hill and so on and so forth, where a lot of the issues that those games put in front of those protagonists are basically direct results of their character flaws and their traits and their kind of decisions that they have made, kind of manifested in a way that they are directly confronting them. So I think that Edward as a protagonist, as you say, might not necessarily be a bad person, but is very much a human. in the way that a lot of games don't really put protagonists out there. You're not that kind of Mary Sue. You're not that kind of flawless, faceless vessel. He is a man. He is flawed, and the opening of the game catches him in a real kind of self-respective moment. So, opening up, gotta say the kind of the straight up just like dripping atmosphere of this almost kind of Alan Wake kind of noirish or Philip K. Dick writing of this so self-aware and almost self-indulgent to a point in his own kind of dialogue. It is a really nice open. Like genuine sets the tone for Edward as a character fantastically. So
yeah, and it's like we wanted the visual style and the colors of the game to reflect the mental situation of the main character. So we see everything a bit in these brownish tones. Because he's going through a bad patch in his life.
Right.
He's kind of very depressed. So the visual style is meant to be a reflection of this.
Got you. So that particular palette, that particular environment, that particular visual was 100% created in that almost like a pathetic fallacy in a way of like it's the colors, the arrangement of everything is just that mental state reflected.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And is that something that was? I mean, obviously, nothing in video games is just put there for no reason, right? Like everything, as we will come across several times over the course of the stream, everything exists for a reason in that manner. Is that something that was very much in your mind throughout the entire process and in all the environments? Was Edward's kind of mental state a direct kind of touch point when you were designing the visuals for all of these places?
Not exactly from
right.
At the start, we didn't have this main character yet. We just had the concept of the lights and the
right
and the shadows. But as the gameplay design progressed, so did the story. And once we got to this imperfect human being, we thought it would be really cool to have a visual that could match exactly what he was feeling. And then as soon as we started putting all this together, it really came naturally.
Got you. So that was very much a case of the environment and the feedback from the game almost inferring backwards into the character and then going back into it. I got you. That's nice. That's nice. So Edward wakes up from whatever whiskey-induced slumber that he's had at his desk. He sees a message and he goes, right, that's it. I'm going to go speak to Diane. I've got to go speak to Diane. A classic, I don't know if this was intentional, and honestly, even if it wasn't, please feel free to lie and say it was, because I would love to believe it. But, Twin Peaks, I am an absolutely massive Twin Peaks fan. I adore it. And Diane is obviously a huge... Yes, yeah, okay, that's all I need to know. I don't even want to know if you're lying, okay? Let's just agree. Fantastic. So... Diane, very prominent character in Twin Peaks. Very, very, very strong name in that series. So, always happy to see a good reference.
And it's really nice to see so many people saying that the game reminds them of Twin Peaks. I thought it was going to be a very subtle reference, but it's very easy to catch the feeling of the show.
Got you.
I believe.
So we arrive at the motel. We're on our way to go see Diane and maybe call the whole thing off, as the old adage goes. And it doesn't look like the nicest of places. We're having a look around. We've got the traditional wood carved in with knives and graffiti lying around. Doesn't seem to be a lot of people here. Doesn't seem to be a very popular motel. Maybe it's just quiet tourist season. Who really knows? But it looks a little bit sleazy. Maybe the kind of place that you'd go to hook up with someone you were having an affair with. So you know what? As far as that goes, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. And at this point, we're kind of introduced to one of the early mechanics that is going to be kind of very important over the course of the game, and that's the kind of physical manipulation and picking up of items. And you're kind of given a handful of parcels and packages to throw around and kind of play with. How much of this was from minute one, like as far as this kind of everything having a physical presence? Was that something that was super in your mind? You kind of mentioned that manipulation of light sources was kind of the early, proof of concept as far as the game goes.
Yeah, so the very first idea that we had was to create a game with the mechanic of the light and the dark.
Right.
The idea was that he couldn't go into the dark. If he did, he would die. Just because there would be some magical thing. But then as we made a prototype, we saw that it really didn't work because it's impossible to explain to the player visually where the light gets... Yeah, because light gets gradually dark, so there's not a clear visual barrier to explain to the player you can't go here. So then we thought about placing some kind of creatures or monsters in the dark. So that's when the concept began to evolve. But answering the question about the physics, it wasn't there from the start. It was actually an idea from say Bruno, my brother. At first, it was only to throw stuff around and play around with things. But then we thought that it would be really nice if we had some kind of things to solve, grabbing objects, throwing objects. So we have a few physics puzzles.
Indeed.
Further in the game,
And everyone loves a good physics puzzle. Like everyone does.
Throw stuff around. Stuff.
Exactly. If you give someone the ability to pick something up and just start chucking it around, like, I mean, yeah, like I'm going to, and honestly, it was one of my favorite things over the PAX event, and I'm sure you took a good amount of joy in it too. Kind of seeing everyone walking up and going, I'm going to pick up this, and I'm going to go put it over there. I'm going to go pick up this. I'm going to go put it over there. I mean, I don't think we're going to quite see Skyrim levels of people trying to collect every cheese wheel in the game or collect every luggage, bag in the game. But I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll be surprised. Maybe we will 100% be surprised in that nature. Welcome back, Nerdy Bird. Good to see you, amigo. And thank you very much for stopping in. Thank you very much. So, while we're in here, one thing that definitely spoke to me early on is the UI, or the complete lack thereof, in fact, was something that I very much adored the first time I got a hold of this. The fact that the kind of pixel, as it were, your crosshair, basically becomes the representation of everything, be it interacting, be it talking, be it anything that you're doing, this one little pixel in the middle reacts to, which I think is fantastic. I genuinely enjoy that level of kind of stripping back all of you're in a video game reminders that kind of exist in those kind of UI elements. And then there we go, our RP Amora there, jumping in there with the Twin Peaks, the opening line of Twin Peaks, which, by the way, just before PAX, the Monday before PAX, in fact, I believe was in fact Twin Peaks Day, which, yes, I did celebrate with a damn good cup of coffee and and kept it up on there. One moment. I am still, I beg your pardon, ladies and gentlemen, recovering from the tail end of PAX. So I don't have a cough button. I should have a cough button. That's one thing I'm going to demand, is a cough button in future. But
hello, Ricardo.
Since the reveal, I'm excited for this. I tried to recreate the petrol station on Dreams, but I failed. That would be quite interesting. Have you seen any of the Dreams stuff, Ricardo? I know you've been incredibly busy lately.
I've seen some things very quickly, but I've seen really good stuff. I'm really curious to see the truth of.
Hello.
But going back to the UI, we did try a few things. We discussed if we should show a few icons or not, but in the end we decided it would be best to clear the screen and show just the minimum possible, just the bare minimum.
Yeah,
I think it's the best for this kind of game, so as not to break the immersion.
100%. And as Nerdy points out here, like the atmosphere, the music, like you mentioned that it was kind of a subtle reference or a subtle feeling of that kind of Twin Peaks nature that you were going for. But I feel like it really, really does. Like you've got that kind of that combination of the kind of the misty kind of film grain effect going on. You've got the kind of blues, sad man and his dog in a pickup truck, radio blaring up there. You've got the abandoned rooms and the bell, which you get no response from. It gives a real solid representation of it.
And let me just say that the musics that are playing on the radios are not completely random.
Oh no.
All the lyrics have some message.
Okay. How specific are we talking here? Are we talking like Queen Flash Gordon, where like if you listen to Flash Gordon, you basically don't need to see the film because it's just the plot of Flash Gordon in a song, or are we talking kind of like more you can elude things from them?
No, it's much more subtle.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I don't know how I would have coped with that, but if I'd have been of a film going age when Flash Gordon came out, that would have probably upset me quite a bit. I'm not sure, but that's awesome. I do love that. So we turn up to the motel. We're on our way to see Diane. We walk into the reception. We're getting no response from the bell, but we are able to jump into the register, and Diana has basically used the pseudonym. A fake name, a pseudonym. No one needed to know she's there. Dana Smith. Dana Smith arrived at 6:30, room number 2. So, okay, guess that's where we're going. Hasn't left yet, nor have a few other people, actually. We've got a few other people listed here. But initially, we got nothing else. Just for good measure, we are going to throw a chair. Because it's just because we can. Just because we can, honestly. So this is actually a very nice little kind of foreshadowing of something that you will become pretty familiar with doing over the course of the game. At this point, what is a safe environment? Yeah, is I'm opening a door and I'm looking for the nearest light source, and I'm getting it up and I'm getting it on, and we're getting it sorted. Yeah, like this is a real nice kind of training ground, kind of giving people a good kind of feel for getting used to doing that early, which is super good. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's very important to remember that the red lights are always the light switches.
Yep, always. That's a pro tip from the man himself. Always look for those red lights. Thankfully, as I've been to America, as of a couple of weeks ago, yep, thank you, Globetrotter, I can confirm that every light switch in America is marked by a red. It's not true. It's not true. Don't believe that. Don't believe that. We've got Tads Gaming and GothGirl15 jumping into the chat right here. Hello there, wonderful people. Thank you for joining us. If you have just joined and you are not familiar, hello. My name is Gary. I am the social gentleman over at Wired Productions. And we have the wonderful Ricardo, one of the developers, one of the very talented people, one of the camels that is responsible for one of many that is responsible for the creation of this particular game. So we're just a little bit of a walkthrough, having a discussion about a few elements of the game and kind of putting a little bit more padding, a little bit more meat on the bones of his development process. So it's a pleasure to have you here, Tads and Goth Girl. So I believe this may be, there is, let's have a look, another kind of training montage, as it is, searching around, investigating, finding things. This is something that is also super important in this game, and as that kind of tooltip hinted at here, there is going to be things you need to be inspecting. And strangely enough, Eddie, is that her pet name for us? Is that the canon pet name for Edward? Yeah. Is Eddie? Eddie? Okay, you know what, I didn't have him down as an Eddie, but, Diane apparently sees us as an Eddie. So she's going to doze off for a bit, and the key is under the doormat. Can't wait for us to be there, and she's in room 2.
She probably gave the note to someone, but that someone is not here.
Is not here. So it was kind of like, if someone jumps in and comes to visit, and they're called Edward, give him this.
Yeah.
That kind of deal. Okay. So we know she's in room 2. We know that we need to go check under the doormat for the key, and we're going to go take her a bottle of wine. Because that's what you do, right? Is you treat... Oh, no. Okay, never mind.
And we have the cat pictures, too?
Yeah, the cat pictures. So explain... explain the cat pictures. Is there a story behind the cat pictures?
Well, everything looks so very intense and dark that we thought it would be cool to have
to just lighten the mood a little bit.
yeah the sweet cat pictures to make some contrast.
You can never have too many cat pictures. The internet has spoken many a time on this matter, and honestly, if there's a cat picture involved, you're pretty much guaranteed to be onto a winner. So, I'm. You know what? Now that you put it there, it is a much needed moment of brevity, of mirth, I should say.
Oh, and if you step back inside, there's a picture of a missing poster.
Oh, a missing poster. A little bit of. Oh. I'm doing that thing down here.
Yeah. That guy there, he's the 3D artist, Boris.
Oh, is that Boris? I didn't even notice. So that's another one of the that's another one of the artists responsible who has been missing, is AWOL. And are the phone numbers callable? I'm not asking people to call these phone numbers, by the way. No, none of these numbers are callable. So how hard is that when you're creating something, be it a game, be it anything of that nature, and you're needing to put these kind of things in there? Like, dude, is it something you have to really go out of your way to be sure that you're not putting anything in there that might actually exist in the real world?
Well, I did check for the phone numbers to make sure that they had the correct length, and but I didn't check if they really exist or not.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is that there's some poor soul over in America right now that's just getting endless phone calls going, why do they keep asking about Boris? I've got no idea who this Boris guy is, but they keep...
Could happen.
You know what? Stranger things have indeed happened. Stranger things have indeed happened. So, we've come to this motel, we've found out where Diana's supposed to be staying, we've found out exactly what we are looking for as far as room number. We know she's hid that key under the map, so now we're going to go look for room number 2, which is actually the room next door, which is super convenient. And this little smiley face here. This stands out to me in a way that, like, I was like, is this signaling? Is this signposting? Or was it just, let's just get a cute little smile on here in the same way that as like graffiti along the wall there kind of thing?
It could just be a coincidence, or maybe she left it there.
Oh, a little bit of mystery from Ricardo there. He's not giving up all of his secrets today, and that's fine. Honestly, I'm okay with that. We still got some time to launch, so we'll squeeze it out of him. We'll squeeze it out of him over time. Welcome, Bother Sean. Fantastic to see you.
Welcome.
And one moment, I'm sorry. The demo was so much fun at PAX East. I'm so glad I was invited to play it. Oh, so you did? Of course you did, Sean. Sorry. Super forgot that you rolled through there. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. You and Monkey. So many people did get hands on with this, and so many people enjoyed it. You love to see it. You love to see it. So, none of the other rooms we can enter. That's right. They're all kind of they're all locked. Everything's locked. There are people in these rooms, we do know this, or there are supposed to be people in these rooms because I booked in, but much like the Hotel California, once you've checked in, you can never leave. Somebody should write a song about that. We should get Thomas to do it. Make a band like the Falconeers or something. Some kind of bird-related band could probably write a song about that. I don't really know. Might the smiley be a reference to Red John from The Mentalist?
I have to admit that I'm not the biggest connoisseur of The Mentalist.
Just say yes. Just say yes. don't say yes.
I know that Red John is like that escaped something, but no.
Not in that nature. Well, you know what? Yo, Car, let's just say it is. Between me and you, we'll start that rumor on the internet. It'll go a while, okay? If it's on the internet, it's gotta be true. That's how this works. It's gotta be true. That's how this works. Nobody would lie. Okay, so door is locked, but thankfully, we found our little letter to Eddie, and we get ourselves a motel key, which is super useful. Not the most secure, but like honestly, Diane seems to be pretty lackluster with her points of failure here.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's cool. She's like, let us in. Get yourselves in there. So we walk into the room, and first thing that we can see is little screenshot on the TV here. Now, what is this from? Because this is one of my favorite things in games, is media. Well, whether it's full-on Remedy style, where they like create TV series that play over things, or whether it's something like this, where there's a representation on there. What is this from? And bear with me while I cough.
So this is from a Charlie Chaplin movie called Gold Rush.
Okay.
1925. At first, we were going to place a still from Dracula here, but we thought it would be cooler to have a contrast with a funny movie instead of. So in the end.
Got you. So very similar to the kind of kittens on the wall in the other room. This is like, hey, you know, here's something a little obscure and almost comic. In you know, let's be honest, not the nicest environment. Things are kind of spooky, things are kind of lonely, things are kind of gross. So let's get Charlie Chaplin up there, which is okay. I dig it. So hold up.
Where are you?
So we come in and we can hear the shower. We can hear the showers running, and honestly, that is an immediate. When I first played through this, I must have spent maybe about 15 minutes idle in this room, where I was like, I'm not going to go in there. I'm not going to go in there. I can hear the showers running, and this is like spooky, and nothing good ever happens when you go into the bathroom. So we're just not going to go in there. We're going to chill in here, and we'll wait. I'm going to be a gentleman. I'm not just going to walk in on this lady while she's showering. We're going to chill here. We're going to wait for it to be finished. I'll find an extra towel to dry her hair. Unfortunately, I waited a while, and she never came out. But that's a different story. So in the room, we get another little snippet. Now, we've already had a mention that we've seen the missing posters in the other room. We get a mention here that someone else has gone missing. The fourth case in the space of a month of someone vanishing, with clothes being left behind in a pool of blood, and everyone being told to stay indoors after dark. And that's basically, I'd say that's probably the first real time in the game that there's kind of a mention that there's something maybe not entirely right with Dormont as a whole. Like something even outside of Edward's current extramarital activities. It's the first real indication that something is not 100% right in Sleepy Little Dormont.
Yeah, so we have a few newspaper clips around the game that the player can read. He doesn't need to, but if he reads, he'll know more about what's going on or what was going on before everything went to hell.
Got you. Quite literally and figuratively and metaphorically.
Yeah, exactly.
So, once again, whoops. Okay, that's fine. Don't worry. It's a rental. I'm sure that'll come out. We can buff that out. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. While the short says there was an issue with the room after this one and the chair. I couldn't move it around, so I yeeted it across the room. No, yes, it's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. Honestly, chairs work best at terminal velocity. Anyway, so it's the more you pick up and throw, and the harder you throw it, the more effective things are. Bloody hell, that sounded heavy. Okay, so at this point where we're kind of out of options, unless we started kind of going through and examining every cupboard and drawer, we kind of have to face the music here, and we have to go and investigate the bathroom. We have to go and check the shower, which, I mean, yeah. Like, thank you for leaving the shower curtain open a little. Like genuinely appreciate that, because you can see there's nothing too terrifying in there initially, but still. We flick our lights on, and the phone rings back in the other room, which is just...
Who can this be?
Well, honestly, for me, and I'm just going to pause here for a second, because that phone ringing, yeah, 100%. I'm with Lady Monkey on this. So when I'm in there, I walk into the bathroom and I'm going, okay, cool, let's go. You're building up the courage to go and look behind that shower curtain. And then the phone rings in the other room. I gotta tell you, first time through, I could not run out of that bathroom to go answer that phone quick. I'm like, oh god, it's the pizza guy. I gotta. Diane, don't worry, I gotta take this. I'll be right back. Immediately out of that bathroom so quickly. Any reason to back away and go investigate that phone?
Yeah, I think that most of the players are expecting to get some sort of jump scare in the shower. And then we get the phone ringing. Okay, it's not here.
Right. Yeah. And just a completely cryptic, out of nowhere, at this point basically not meaning all that much, notification to stay indoors. Or to stay in the light, specifically, which combined with the earlier message to stay indoors, it kind of gives you the two pieces of news that you really need to get your way through here, which is, stay in light, stay indoors. And Edward comments on her complete lack of awareness when it comes to resources of leaving the water running. Which, you know what, we all know that housemate, or we've been that housemate. One of the two. We've all been there or been exposed to it. So the bathroom ends up clean. There's nothing else to see in here right now. Everything is chill. Everything's cool. But as Lady Monkey pointed out, the TV's changed. the TV has changed, and it's pretty subtle. It's pretty subtle. It's just kind of faint enough that you kind of want to get closer to go look at it, but much like Lady Monkey said, I also was fully expecting to get jumped at the entire time I was playing through. I was fully expecting it. I'm going to walk up to this TV and something's going to scream at me, or something's going to jump at me, or something of that nature. Pardon me. So, which, just before we carry on, because this is kind of where the game begins to kind of show its hand a little bit, as to what you will be doing. In stark contrast to the kind of expectations that people like myself or the folks in the chat that did play it and were kind of expecting someone to kind of pull back that shower curtain and go all Wild Bill on them, or kind of jump out of a TV screen. That was very much against the complete MO of you folks when you were putting this together. Would you say that's fair? Like the kind of monster closet, here's something hiding in here waiting to jump out at you, is kind of the exact opposite of what those who remain is kind of about. One moment. I think he's still there. Yep, there we go. Sorry. Yeah. Buffer. So yeah, it's kind of the exact opposite of what the game's kind of about in that nature, right? Is you're not trying to get those kind of gotcha dopamine scare releases. It's kind of keeping the finger on that trigger and that expectation that kind of Monkey and others in the chat had, and just keeping it at that just on the surface level, like continually, which is really mean. I just want to put it out there. It is really mean to just constantly feel like at any moment something is going to just absolutely... But it's effective, and I feel it's a very, very effective way of kind of portraying this oppressive town, as it were. Yes, exactly. Keeping anxiety at a constant high.
Because we didn't want to create the game based around the cheap jump scare. I don't have anything against well-made jump scares, but I see that they are too much used in games and in movies and etc. And they get boring and very repetitive. So we wanted to create a tense atmosphere that would be scary to the player, and that the player knows that it's dangerous, but without resorting to screams or random the things appearing in front of the screen. I think in the long run, it becomes much more effective.
Got you. And I kind of agree with that. Honestly, like from a pure as a horror fan. Not that this means I'm going to play a lot of horror games because I am a huge coward, but as a fan of horror, like you kind of like it in spite of what it's doing to you. Right, like it's that roller coaster where you're like, oh my god, this is terrifying, and I hate that this is happening, but oh my, this is great. Yeah. Like, oh my god, I hated every minute of that. Please, let's do it again. And a good jump scare can very much bring that out of you. You get that quick release, especially if a dev will kind of toy with it and then kind of get that balance between the two where you expect it and it's pitched up and signposted so hard that you're about to get a jump scare and then you don't. And then just when you relax, then you do. Like it can be done very well, but as you say, the kind of over-reliance on it has become a little bit of a hallmark when it comes to the horror genre. And yeah.
And we actually have a few scenes here that weren't supposed to be scary.
All right. Really? Because I'm not gonna lie, buddy.
No, a few moments, and when we saw players going through these parts, we saw that it's like a jump scare. But
Yep, 100%. I forgot. You know what? I wasn't scared. I was listening to Ricardo. I wasn't scared. I was paying attention to Ricardo. But no. It's all good. It's all good. So we walk out. We get not a jump scare, but something that very much is effective at catching cowards like myself. And someone, presumably Diane, has stolen our car, which is pretty annoying. But she very thankfully left our overnight bag here that we threw out earlier, so we've got that going for us. We've at least got fresh underwear, which is useful in a situation such as this.
And it's a nice night for a walk.
It is a nice night for a walk. Clear,
a bit dark, but
clean country air.
It's not here. This place is empty.
So one of the things that we also get is, we've seen around, a lot of the pick up and throwing of things. Big fan of picking up this bag and throwing it. We'll throw that ahead so we can pick that up later also. Oops. Nope, it's gonna hang. These things happen sometimes. But wait. Just want to add to the bug channel. We'll make a note of that. Early build. We jump into the ability to kind of
Call a good first impression.
we get this ability to get Edward's thoughts. Much like Nerdy says here, that big kind of Alan Wake feel. This kind of constant running monologue that Edward has with basically no one but himself throughout the game. Just kind of these utterances that he puts out across the course of things, which is also really nice. Well, like he says, it's I'm so sorry, Ricardo, I broke your bag. We can't even get it down now. But it's fine. It's an airbag. It's an airbag. It's a magic bag. It's just gonna chill. It's just gonna chill up there, and that's fine. So we get the kind of indication right here. We know that we're heading for light. The Golden Oak Motel. We've kind of outstayed our welcome here. We've came in. We've not really sampled anything, any of the joys, but we need to go catch Diane, who has taken our car and hightailed it down this road. And this is probably one of the more, especially early on, one of the more, for me, oppressive sections of the game, because at this point you don't really know exactly what the scope or scale of everything is, right? Like, you are literally just put in front of this basically pitch black endless road that you can't really see anything in there. And it's kind of one of the strongest themes of it, is this kind of, the dark itself is scary, but it's the things that are in the dark that are scarier, right? Like, it's the things that you can't see that kind of do the damage mentally. So this is definitely... Was there anywhere in particular that kind of, when you were putting this place together, was there anywhere that was kind of coming to mind? Or was it very much you just had an idea that you wanted it to be this kind of completely rural, very natural, dark environment?
Do you mean the motel or
the town itself, like all the kind of interconnecting kind of passages between the areas, as it were?
The town was very inspired by Twin Peaks, like we said before. Even the diner, the cars that look a bit older, but yeah, it was mostly inspired by Twin Peaks. And I've never been to Maine, but from what I see in movies, it looks kind of like this too. So
do we have any natives from the area there that can confirm that? No angry emails if Ricardo's speaking out of turn. He means it endearingly. I trust us. So we're making our way downtown, all the way to Dormont,
and we can see something up ahead.
And this poor gentleman over on the side here
What just happened?
either has an accident or something very much immediately.
Hello? Shit. Why are they holding an axe?
Oh no.
Yeah, right. So something very much immediately heads up that dude did not stay in the light. Something bad happened. And these shadowy figures appear almost out of nowhere into the darkness. And now everything's dark, like 100% everything. We've got one major light source here, thankfully for us, and Edward quite smartly decides that he wants to get away from those guys and remember that earlier message of staying in the light.
And they're gone.
And they're gone. So this becomes the kind of... one of the main loops of the game is this kind of puzzle nature of moving into an environment and finding light sources and basically carving a way through the darkness to your next objective. And we get a sprint button, which is super appreciative because...
And it's gonna be needed in...
Yeah, it's gonna be needed in a handful of situations. Running is useful. So, as well as the fact that we have these kind of man-made, almost puzzle room solutions to creating light sources, sometimes you're going to be relying on the kind of natural light in an area, a kind of incidental light. In this case, a very helpful burning car. Is this our car?
It is.
This is okay. You know what? Maybe not so helpful. I think I would actually prefer it if this car wasn't burning right now.
A rental, so
Well, again, yeah, that's
not serious.
Yeah.
What happened to the driver?
And Edward very helpfully points out that the driver is not in there anymore. Well, we're not getting anything out of this, but at very least in death, it provides us with a little bit of life. Gives us a little bit of a safe spot.
He doesn't really care about the car, so it must definitely be...
Yeah. I feel like if this was a car that he'd put a good good payment into, or like he just finished the last deposit, he'd probably be a little bit more upset than he is right now. But it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so right now we're not in the best of states. We're completely in the dark. We have literally only the burning wreckage of our car to go by, and we can see what looks like a small kind of light over here. This is kind of where we want to be going.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. We're gonna make hefty use.
Maybe they can help me get to Dormont.
We're gonna make hefty use of that sprint button. we're gonna rely on that. And we come across... I think this is probably one of my favorite areas in the game. Is this little area. This kind of... This reminds me a lot of where I used to live. Very rural... No! No! I've got something to tell you. No, but very kind of rural, lots of tall farm buildings, lots of cornfields, lots of, when it gets dark, you don't really see anything, but it's so clear out, and then, lots of... It's a really nice environmental area. But...
Yeah, but it has no ghosts or
there's...
or monsters.
No. Well,
That's a shame, that's a shame.
And as we can see, these these folks are basically going to be chilling and keeping an eye on us as we go about our business. Kind of an ever-present threat over the course of the game. So we're going to try and seek refuge in this building. And we instantly lose access to the outside. But, what did you tell us earlier? We always look for those red LEDs, right? Like, we're always looking for those lights.
There we go.
So we'll cram that on, and that's basically going to be it. Now, this I absolutely love. Is the kind of... The changing of an environment when you rotate one way out of another. Like, the door that was initially locked, we turn that light on, and when we turn around and look again, the door just isn't even there anymore.
And now, instead of... you have that very beautiful painting.
Yeah, not the nicest of paintings, in fact, and there is actually a little bit of history behind this painting. Don't get me wrong, I'm not the most cultured human being in the world, but this you may have seen this appear in a couple of other games or a couple of other TV shows and so on and so forth. Because it does actually have... Let me just try and get a better look at it. Not that you want to. It's really not very pleasant. But if I'm not mistaken, this is basically depicting the Titan Saturn eating his child. Is basically the name of the painting. And was a series of one of a series of paintings called the Dark Materials that weren't ever actually meant to be released. Did you know that?
No, I had no idea.
No, so the gentleman that painted these was actually not in the best of mental states, as you can imagine, when he painted them, and they were actually like ripped off his walls. He later in life retreated to this villa. Where he basically like painted these not even onto canvas but directly onto his walls, like this painting and a series of others that were all kind of touching on this darker side of human mentality. And they ended up quite literally, posthumously, they went in and saw these horrible things painted on the wall and went, "Oh my God, we hate it. Let's rip that off the wall and stick it on canvas. Oh my God, yeah, we need to do that." And honestly, given the nature and tone of the painting, what it represents, and some of the themes later on in the course of the game, I think it is a very, very apt painting in particular to be using in this instance, especially when it replaces the door, and it becomes basically what you end up staring at when you're trying to get out. We love stuff like that.
We do have a lot of paintings and drawings about demons, hell, realities. that we did a lot of research to find out stuff about to integrate into the story, and we found a ton of interesting and very cool art that's actually available to use. It's in the public domain. So we got a bunch of very cool stuff that's going to appear on the game.
You know what? I'm just gonna say I think I preferred the kitten picture. I know you've got a lot of really referential and kind of relevant horror art in the game, but you know if we're talking brutally honest here, I'm all about that kitten picture as our main focus.
I can understand.
But that's just me as a coward. Welcome back, Erratic. I love the aspect of drawing on art for horror. I mean, you know, humans are multi-layered types, right? And a lot of that kind of stuff comes out in art and creations and so on. So, yeah, most definitely. It's a great place to draw that kind of inspiration from. And someone didn't wipe their feet.
It's a bit dirty.
It's a little bit dirty. So somebody didn't wipe their feet. Somebody is in trouble. Someone is very much not in the good books. Luckily, this TV does not appear to be haunted, which I'm very thankful for. But our ever watchful guests are still keeping an eye on us. And what is a good home without a good quote above the fireplace? And I will forgive their wickedness, and I will never again remember their sins.
There's always a Bible verse.
100%. So, was that a verse that you know you very much had in mind with relation to the story in this particular matter?
I didn't know the verse. I had to do a bit of research to find something that would fit into what we were trying to say. And when we found this, okay, it's perfect.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we didn't place random stuff here. Everything is related to something in the game, you know.
100%. Like we said, video games, nothing is put there just because. Never. Thankfully, because this means that we've got a slight switch. Now, one of the things that I took a little bit of time to really get my head around was being brave enough to kind of peek just a little bit into a dark area in order to manipulate light sources, if that makes sense. So, like the nature of stepping so directly into a unlit room. Even just a little bit, like just a little shimmy. You know, if this was me, I'd be kind of like, I'd have my arm around the door frame, kind of running my hand up and down the wall, trying to feel it while trying to like stay outside of it. I'm sure it's here somewhere. But we turn it on and we get a little bit of passage through the bathroom. Bathroom, kitchen. I know what a kitchen looks like. Naturally. And we get this very, like, edge of your neck kind of standing up, hair raising, these little violins, that kind of just slow crescendo that's building up as you're exploring this house and kind of working your way through. And we're not going to go outside, because I've decided against it. We're not going to go outside. We'll just stay indoors for now. We didn't bring an umbrella.
You can try throwing stuff at them. See what happens.
Okay, let's just get this. No. Now we just lost our best frying pan. So Mom is going to be all kinds of upset. That was an heirloom. Passed down through generations, and we've just... That's okay. We'll get it later, I'm sure. Maybe.
So, throwing stuff... an option.
No, not as a solution to this particular situation, no. Hello, Wobbly Red Man. How the devil are you? and of Green Gables. Interesting choice. We'll just wedge that over there for a second. I can live up on there. Nope, the hell away from that door. That's just good life advice in general. Just stay away from that trapdoor. So here we get a little bit of a hint into one of the kind of core story beats of the game, which, if you were paying attention during the main menu, you may kind of put a little bit of an illusion in here. Another newspaper article pointing out that the body of a 13-year-old girl was found near the sawmill. The victim presumably came off from the bike trail and fell, and that the authorities deemed that it was an accident and there was no further investigation required. And honestly, I don't feel like that is entirely unbelievable. Every kind of town, especially in rural areas, every town has their ghost stories, right? Like every town has their kind of the skeletons, sometimes literal, in their closet, where people will talk about these events that have happened in locations or to families or to particular things. Like, and I feel like that's something that definitely exists in these kind of small towns, and I kind of love finding out about them in these kind of settings. So what's the game all about? You know, we're going to take 20 seconds, and mainly because I'm trying to put off going outside for as long as humanly possible, because those people are giving me the heebie-jeebies. And what we read man says, what's the game all about? I've only just managed to tune in. Let's just take 20 seconds, and do you want to quickly run an elevator pitch rundown of the game, what it's about, and kind of put your, as the creator, what you stated as.
Sure. So what is this about? This is like a psychological thriller. It's not the classic horror game based around jump scares. And we have two main mechanics here. One is this thing with the light and the dark. The player can't go into the dark because these creepy figures are there. But any light source is going to scare these figures away. So that's like one of the main things. The other, we are about to see it in a few minutes, but basically this is a dark story that addresses things like infidelity, bullying, suicide, and that's a very quick summary of what the game is about. And we also have different endings here based on the player's choices. We want the player to feel the weight of having to choose, so the story can have a good ending, a bad, or a horrible ending.
That is your favorite as far as endings go. It's the horrible ending. So you quite literally have the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you're kind of rooting for the ugly along the entire way there.
From what I see, the players going through the game, I think most of the players are going to get the bad or the horrible.
Oh my god! Oh my god! So we aren't. We're not talking directly about exactly what impacts the endings just yet, are we? We're kind of, and that might be something we revisit post-release. Well, we might do maybe a follow-up video or stream, kind of highlighting once people have maybe been through the game a couple of times and kind of try to pick apart exactly what it is that impacts that kind of thing. But yeah, three separate endings in that nature that are tied to actions that you take over the course of the game, and not necessarily the ones that you would think either, which is nice actually, and I do really like that particular little thing.
Yeah, because the whole premise of the game is about the choices and consequences.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense to have the player choosing too, right?
Yeah. 100%. Like that's kind of the core theme Paying attention to a lot of the incidental and kind of environmental storytelling that you have going on, between the kind of, even if we were to take a quick walk away from that door, because I'm not killing time to avoid going outside, I want to assure you. Even so much as, the incidental environmental notes that are left lying around, talking about sins and wickedness and kind of consequence and so on and so forth. It's the kind of reoccurring loop that, even though there are many disparate kind of story elements that are all running concurrently through the game, especially when you look at things like the tragedy of the town, when you look at things like the characters involved, when you look at Edward as a protagonist and his own infidelity and his own personal demons that he has. It's the one kind of tie it all together theme, is that choice and consequence and everything around it, which is dope. That's kind of fantastic. Now this area trips me up a lot because there's a lot of light switches here, and I've got to be honest with you, I feel I switched my own light off a good couple of times.
Probably in the kitchen.
It's probably in the kitchen. It is probably in the kitchen. The upstairs is a no-go. The upstairs is a no-go because these doors are stuck, and as we can see, the closer into the darkness you get, you kind of get impacted a little. Edward's not happy about this. You get that kind of, your vision gets kind of wavy. The audio gets nasty. He starts to breathe heavy. He's not happy about it. So
if you go on, you get stabbed.
Yeah. Nope. Wrong one. We knew that. So let's try turning. Okay. There we go. We're good. So you do get a little bit of grace with regards to the darkness in that manner. You will know when you're moving into an environment that might not be the safest. We've already lost Mom's pan, so we shall take her crockery pot with us, just in case. No worries, Wobbly. We will be putting the content of the stream up over on YouTube and kind of splicing it up onto our other channels after today, so over tomorrow. So it will exist in all of the other kind of cool sources for you to catch up on, just in case you haven't been able to hang for the entire show today.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. Jesus. Okay. I forgot about the basketball. I forgot about the basketball, which again, it's not a jump scare, but it's not a jump scare.
It's just a ball.
But it's just a ball. It's just there, just to remind you. And
to remind you that you are not alone.
And the door itself is boarded, 100%. Which, honestly, I don't know who's been hiring. I don't know who hired this person to do the contract work on this door. But we didn't hear them do a thing, so I need to hire these people for my neighbors because they've been doing building work for what must feel like 5 months now, and they are so loud every morning. I want these stealth boys. But the door's boarded up. We can't get back in there now.
Automatic doors. No keyhole.
And we can't get into the garage. So all of a sudden, this building becomes a little bit of a no-go for us.
But luckily, we have the barn right there.
So we'll walk our way along here. We've got a barn, and nothing bad ever happens in barns. Literally nothing bad. Nothing bad has ever happened in horror in a barn, ever, in the history of barns. That's why barns are built, is they're like safe havens.
The 2 sacrifices to the dark gods.
Exactly.
Things like that.
Exactly. Lady Monkey says, I didn't notice that the basketball fell straight away just because of it being dark. Looks like some Blair Witch of the Blair Witch Paradigm. No, and that's kind of like... The basketball was subtle. The basketball, even though it does drop straight in front of you... Oh.
It's probably Dormont. Only the sunflower fleet doesn't seem dark.
So we get
Way to go.
yeah, we get these kind of running musings, which honestly I really like as Edward's kind of ability to take that kind of film noirish character in kind of self-aware situation, but use that to kind of infer and inform the player as well. Is a really nice touch. And we slide ourselves open, and again, the anxiety about moving into this barn is like, if these doors close, we are done for. I am not happy about needing to go in here, but Edward's told us that we do, so by God, we're going to go in here. You can hear that rain rattling on that hard metal roof.
It's missing a fuse. It must be back in that house.
And we kind of see now another kind of recurring thing is the kind of nature of you're daisy chaining these objectives in an area against each other. You'll kind of come to one particular spot, you'll realize that you need to do something, and in the process of going to retrieve it, you'll kind of stagger on a couple more objectives on the way. So we now know that our overall goal is to kind of get this generator up and running, but we're missing a fuse. We're down a fuse. Edward muses that the fuse is probably back at the house. Let's get ourselves back over there and maybe see
If we can find the
if we can find the fuse. We aren't going around this way. We aren't going around this way. We know that this doesn't have any keyhole,
Automatic doors. No key.
and the front door's blocked up. So maybe we go back round? Maybe we go back round into the garden and go back in through the kitchen?
Did you happen to find a key?
We didn't.
We didn't.
We didn't.
We might need some key.
Okay, well let's take a little jog. Let's take a little jog. Well, honestly, I'm kind of more in favor of taking this axe. We did find the key. We just didn't pick it up because I was too distracted by the rain on the roof. But honestly, I'd be more inclined to take the axe. I feel like Edward's quite a pacifist guy, but
You could throw the axe, but it just goes through them, so...
yeah, that's a good point. It's a comfort axe. It's a placebo. It's there for my own comfort.
False security.
It's there for my own comfort and nothing else. It's an axe-shaped comfort blanket. Okay. So we'll take a quick jog back indoors, and we are indoors. We'll close ourselves in, and all of a sudden we get access to the area. Previously, oh God, Edward, behave. No, it's okay. We got this. We're good. We're good. We bring ourselves in. We're inside the garage, which is great. Honestly, I feel like this is where we're going to find the fuse. I feel this is the best place, the best chance of finding a fuse. Let's have a little look around here, because there's quite a lot to search.
And it's a bit messy with stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is, I feel, better kept than the garage that I would own. I don't know whether that says more about me or or owning garages in general, but kind of drop up on there.
Oh, okay.
Yep, there we go. We'll take that fuse box, we'll throw it out to the side. Old fuse box. You've served your purpose. You can live down there. That's fine.
Oh.
Kinda want to make sure. No, okay. They didn't leave the washing on. That's okay. People are.
It's not working.
It's not well. Yeah. And you know what? The toolbox probably gives that away.
Being worked on.
No tone.
Of course, it's not working.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's horror logic, right? We're not allowed. We're not allowed things like phones. You know, you either have no signal, or you've got no bars, or you've got some nothing of that nature. That's just how that works. We know this. So we get our fuse in. Our little boy vibrates away. Our fuse is in the spot. And the blinding lights at this point of the sunflower field with the, again, like the birds flying by, catching those rays, you know, the kind of scarecrow just right on the edge of the field just to make you feel a little uncomfortable, which, you know, thank you. The kind of sunflowers in there, like it's a real nice moment of we solved our puzzle, we're making our way now.
This thing being creepy.
No, it couldn't. No, it couldn't. We've solved our puzzle. We've got that light. We're going to start making our way towards it. And then...
Where am I? How did I get here?
We're suddenly in this creepy forest.
A super hard turn where we were basically at 1 minute running towards, you know, relative safety, and within moments, without any explanation at this point, taken into something that almost doesn't quite feel real.
And now it's not dark anymore.
No. Well, which is, you know, I mean, it's still, you know, still dark, but it isn't night. It's visible. You can see, and the threat that has been kind of on our shoulders for the past, you know, hour or so doesn't appear all that present right now. But there is also a kitchen set in the middle of a forest. which brings its own questions and problems. And the noise of screams heard off in the distance.
Andrea. This was taken the day we met. We got married 2 years later.
A picture of Edward in particular, and his wife.
Happy days.
And all of a sudden, things take a much more sinister kind of tone. I mean, not that the kind of the creepy people with axes on the edge weren't creepy, but
it's dead people hanging from trees, so...
yeah, like it's a very much more direct kind of oppression.
They probably did something and were punished by it.
Rosie. She loved to fall asleep on Andrea's lap. We were so happy back then.
And this is where Edward begins to kind of double down a little on kind of that maybe everything is not all right for him personally. I mean, you know, the opening hour or so very much highlights that Dormont itself, you know, has its problems, but rolling through and seeing the kind of callbacks to Edward at the start of the game about maybe not being the best representation of a father or a husband when needed, kind of becomes a little bit more personal for him here at this point.
Yeah, this game it has like the journey of Edward, and the backstory of this town, and then both stories intertwine until Edward gets to the end. You can either solve what's going on here or not.
So this is something that you can kind of, when you say in that way, is that meaning that like the player kind of investigates this as much or as little as they want along the way, or is it something that's kind of on the critical path, as it were?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the first part.
So when you mention, and hello there, Sarcastic J, good to see you. Yeah, but isn't that where you keep your kitchen table? Is underneath the guy hanging from the tree? That's where I leave my kitchen table. Always. It's the best place to put it. No, but with regards to this particular area, a lot of you watch people play it at PAX. A lot of different reactions: slow play, fast play, super cautious. Yeah, I'm on the super cautious branch myself. I'd imagine you basically speedrun it at this point, Ricardo. Like you know it, you know it inside and out, top to bottom. So you can do this with your eyes closed. I'm sure.
I've only played it like 2,000 times.
Only.
No, I was going to say last week.
Oh my god.
No. It's been yeah. I can play it fast. I can play it fast.
Here we find another highlight into Edward's past.
It was actually Bruno's wife, my brother.
Oh, is this Crystal from PAX? Yeah.
No worries.
So we rock up. We find our child's bunny, which also burns into flames, and a door on the edge, or the boundary of realities, it would seem, becomes open to us with quite literally.
I'm sure that nothing bad can come from going through that door.
Alright, well, Ricardo recommends us going through the door, and honestly, like, everything around here has been bursting into flames. I'm not a fan of the noises I'm hearing, so we're gonna go through that door.
Have you looked at the sky? No.
Ah, damn it.
Too late.
It's too late! It's too late. Share your story about the sky.
We can still see it. We can still see it here in this section.
Oh, yes. Not here directly, but
in a few moments.
And we basically, upon going through that door, we snap back to whatever version of reality this could be contested. We once again...
Passing through here. Dormont is just a couple of miles down the road.
We once again get our little spectators on the edge, ever watching. And we come across Jimmy's best gas, which is going to be our home for the next few moments while we work our way through.
And now we can see a crowd of these figures looking at us.
We can hear yet again another radio singing out another song. But we can't get in. The door's locked, the windows are boarded.
That would be too easy.
That would be too easy. Ricardo doesn't want to make things easy for you.
Never.
Never. But, thankfully, we do have a car, this one not on fire. And we have the ability to... Okay. I'm not walking back there, no. Not about that life. We are staying back there. And Karakin rocking through. Great to see you, my friends. Welcome. Pardon me. I need a cough button. And a cough sweep. I'm not walking back at our game ends. Honestly, you are not a million miles away from my mentality when I came through this part the first time. I was like, well, I guess Edward just lived out the rest of his life outside the gas station. What a strange way to end the game. But everyone's story, of course, does carry on.
Get to the door handle. It feels like something is wrapped around the car.
But in this particular case, we kind of get a clue here that something might not be as it seems.
Yeah, he can't reach the handle. It feels like something invisible is around the car.
And we don't have the ability to interact with it in any other way at the moment, no matter which angle.
Get to the door handle. It feels like something is wrapped around the car.
That car, it's a point of interest, but right now we can't do anything to it. But we know we want to be in there, and we know that car is something that might help us do so. If you weren't narrating, what's the level of stress for you? 1 to 10? So I'd say a solid 8 right now. Even with narrating, a solid 8.
That's a good number.
So it's a good number. Like there's always room for a little bit. Yeah. Talking out loud eases that. You wonder why I've been talking an awful lot. It's not for anyone else's. Yeah, you know I am. You know I am.
Dreaming tricks.
I just keep talking. Talk the anxiety out. Talk the anxiety out. So we find a key in the mailbox, and we are also kind of treated to what is basically like a little runway of light here.
And you have a sign there that you can read and says that you're like 3 miles from Dormont,
which is pretty close.
It's close. It's close.
We're super close. Like Dormont's our overall destination. That's where we want to be going. Dormont's 3 miles away. We got a little bit of room to play with, which is fine. But first port of call is getting into that gas station and using this car somehow.
Yeah, because the road is blocked by these figures.
And we go through this door, and all of a sudden we find ourselves kind of back in this not entirely real location where gravity doesn't seem to have much bearing as far as the rules go. And what did you want to point out about the sky?
Sometimes you can see some creatures flying through the sky,
like giant whales and so on and so forth that kind of float their ways past.
Yeah, they come and go. So
yeah, they just chill. They just chill.
Yeah.
They're just vibe checking. They're just up there. They're just doing their thing. And my least favorite.
And you can see the spider legs.
Yeah, the big old little animated spider boys that like to hang around in this environment, which, as Rice and Cakes and myself alluded to much earlier, not a fan, Ricardo. I'm just.
You shouldn't go into the bushes or into the forest.
Duly noted.
Spider food.
No, we're not a fan. We'll stay away from the spiders. Oh, there we go. There's one of the old whaley boys. Just kind of floating his way past. I say little. I mean, that thing is huge. That thing is legitimately huge.
It is.
But I'm still more scared of the spiders. I'm just a coward, really. We can kind of see some more of them lingering around on the edge. Run out and die to ease the pain, and then we continue. Ricardo clapped his hands. He heard what we said about his pet spiders, and he decided that he wasn't about that life, and he cut it. He was like, "No, done. I'm ending this stream now." No, of course not. Sorry about that. The internet had a moment. It does happen very, very occasionally. But thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. So, where were we? Yes, this is probably the first indicator that something maybe not quite, this particular environment, while definitely,
might not be.
Oh boy, let's stay away from that boy. Holy hell. No. 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 The fact that the signposts change. No, go touch it. You go touch it. No, I'm not touching it. No. Go touch your own spider. But the fact that the signs very much deliberately change to despair and sorrow, the whatever is creating this environment might not be the friendliest, nor accidental. Like that's a very deliberate choice. Let me at it. Okay, I need to hire you as a spider fighter, Lady Monkey. Are you okay with this? I hope you're okay with this. So we can go back through, and this is one of the cool things about the game at this point. Even though we didn't do anything through that particular portal, you know, you kind of get given in the areas that ability to jump between the two worlds and kind of investigate and kind of search things out. You know, it's not just a one and done thing in areas like this, which is super cool. Like being able to jump through to this alternate version of the universe and seek things out. And in this particular instance, Edward kind of throws us a bone, because we find that this particular car in this universe,
The car is completely covered with ivy.
it's completely covered with ivy. It's not the best. It's in a pretty big state of disrepair. The doors are all kind of clammed up. It's all a bit rusted. And just over on the side here,
And it explains why he couldn't reach door handles
That's what I need.
on the
right,
real world.
100%. So you kind of get to make that connection that actions that you take in this world have a direct correlation to things up in the real one. I use real in, you know, air quotes, because even the real world at this point is full of spooky shadow people, full, you know, covered in pitchforks and axes hanging around in the background, which, you know, no, not about that.
Reality. What is reality?
It's getting near the end of the week, Ricardo. It's late on a Thursday. We don't need those existential questions. Not now. Not now. So we get to get the herbicide pump,
It won't budge.
and we get rid of the ivy, which solves the problem of that in that world. But in this world, the door is still rusted shut. This car is basically kind of moot for us here. California license plate. Is there a particular reason for that?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Most of the cars have a license plate from Washington State,
Okay.
except a few, like this one. That has a license plate very similar to a famous killer car from the 80s.
Oh, Christine, the Christine license plate. So, you know, just because it's not quite enough to be fooling around with cars in multiple realities and diving backwards and forwards, it also needs to somewhat be alluded to a murderous car. Just on top of it, just on top of that.
It was a beautiful car.
It was a beautiful car up until the point it mowed down everybody. Like that was a very strange and honestly, we'll take a moment here to before we carry on. Honestly, Chara, that's and I apologize if I'm butchering your name, because you know reading names is hard on the internet. But you know this is why we love, and it's something that we're going to be doing as often as possible. Is getting the devs on to kind of share these kind of stories and kind of references and stuff, because it's fascinating for us as well as you. But I can't help but notice in the background of your screen there, you kind of mentioned 80s referential horror. There was one that we kind of glossed over a little bit in the motel because I was too busy laughing at the cat pictures on the wall and talking about avoiding showers in the game, not in real life. But there's some scraped graffiti in the wall in the motel as well, isn't there? I believe.
Graffiti in the wall?
The kind of scraped in Jason graffiti that's in the wall.
No.
Oh no,
That's actually in this area.
Oh, that's in this area. Okay, I'm misremembering. But between the Christine references, you know, and the kind of the thing poster that I can see on that wall behind you there. Which I gotta say, I love. I absolutely adore that. That's some fantastic artwork in itself. You know, the kind of horror reference, Easter egg blood, kind of runs true through this. Right now,
it's really cool to add like subtle references, very subtle things that a few players are going to notice them.
Like a license plate or the name.
Are not
Yeah.
going to see it, but the ones who actually, it's really cool.
Awesome. So back in this world, we get the non-rusted car, which is lucky for us. We took the IV off in the weird floaty world, and we've come back through this world, and now we can reach the handle. And luckily, because it's not rusted, we can actually utilize this car now. And if we come on, there we go. That gives us initially some light. Some light that we aren't really able to use well because someone left a pallet here.
This feels too heavy. Somehow this feels too heavy.
And it's definitely not the rocking chair doing this. It's that isn't what's putting the weight on here.
It's just heavy.
It's just too heavy. So you know what? Let's go take another trip. Let's go take another look. And now we can see that the lights, even though they're rusted cars, these lights are back up on here. And we can take this, which, you know, that's a little less heavy now, right? Although there is a giant spider behind there, so we're not gonna spend any time here. We're gonna take a walk. We're gonna go through. And our spooky rocking chair, it's still creaking away there, but the pallet is gone, and the light has filtered through to where those people were, which kind of removes them from our field of view. Which honestly, I'm gonna take that as a win.
So now it's kind of safe, kind of.
Safe as a. Forgot about that guy. Okay, that's fine. You just chill in here, buddy. I'm just gonna flick a light on and just be done with you. That's fine.
Not the cleanest place.
No, definitely not. And
Now the rear of the station is too dark.
I'm guessing we're not going to be able to bring the car around here in order to light that up. The car is pretty static in that nature. But we do now have access to this little side area, right? And here we go. Here's the graffiti that I was remembering. Hold on. Pardon me. Of a particular Jason being in a bathroom.
There was some guy, it's called Jason, wore a hockey mask.
and may have done some not entirely wholesome things to people in gas station bathrooms.
Yeah, in some movie. So
That may or may not have been a thing. May or may not have been a thing. But we also get the notification that Christmas lights, which are, you know, draping through the window here. Someone's put a brick through. We can see that these have a little plug-in. So let's connect this back up. And this is another kind of direct moment, which I absolutely love, is the kind of the fading away of that kind of tension music and the kind of gas station music kicking in, kind of coming through a little fuller. But you know, while we talk on the nature of Alan Wake as a kind of reference point for a couple of things and kind of, you know, Easter eggs and so on and so forth, there was obviously that part of Alan Wake where the protagonists kind of draped themselves in Christmas lights in order to kind of move themselves through a particular passage of danger where they didn't really have any of the viable light sources, right? Like they didn't have the flashlights, they didn't have the candles, they didn't have anything like that on hand. So being able to kind of dose themselves up in glow sticks and Christmas lights and kind of makeshift, it's a neat little callback on that. And I really dig that because, you know, you're not always going to be able to have things like torches or street lights or even cars on hand, right? So being able...
It's a light.
Right, it does the job.
There's a light source. It's safe.
It does the job. I left the key in the mailbox. Now, thankfully, because we're smart people, we did get the key beforehand. We picked up the key in the mailbox, but it's a nice little touch for those that may have missed it.
Anyone here?
let's close that door. It's a bit nasty out there. And we get more music, which I love, by the way. I love incidental audio in these situations. And we find ourselves a lighter.
Very useful.
Which, you know, given the nature of things, we're probably gonna need. Oh, how about no? Got some cockroaches. We're gonna keep the lighter away from the gas. Actually, we're gonna keep that away from the propane and propane accessories.
Someone boarded the windows.
But we're gonna carry our own little lighter with us now. We got some delicious tuna. I gotta tell you, one of my favorite things in video games is like looking at what the labels are for like the incidental, like, you know, food or drinks or everything like that are on store shelves. You know, it's one of my absolute favorites. Imagining the diet that these people had of, you know, baked beans and tuna and cocktail sausages. You know, I mean, that's gotta be like one of your 5 a day at least, right? Like at least one.
Well, in here you got smokes and probably
Right.
for some time.
Exactly. We got smokes. We got delicious tuna. We got mustard. We got ketchup. None of that catsup. No, they get the good stuff.
And the radio.
Yeah. And like 15 gallons of whole milk. Although, you know, I'm not gonna say that the date on that is probably not giving us any cause for joy.
It should probably be on the fridge. I don't know.
Is there even a fridge in here? You know what? Let's not look into the health and safety practices of this backwater gas station. So now we get the ability to kind of spook them out a little bit with the lighter. Oh no! No, okay, I changed my mind. I changed my mind. Okay, so we can spook them with the lighter and maybe break a couple of them, but yeah, okay.
The wind rush comes and
Yeah,
puts the flame out.
awesome. Let's not go into the forest. That's just good life advice in general. So, this is where we are going to leave off this particular segment, just because you know, we want to leave you guys something to be able to play through yourselves. But B, we also are going to be revisiting Those Who Remain and Ricardo on the run-up to launch in many different ways, and kind of exploring a lot more of what is in the game and around the game and kind of the lore, the mythology. We'll focus on a couple of different things over the course of the streams as we go. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure to kind of run through and have you riding shotgun with me, even if I keep looking over there because that's where your camera is. So it looks like I'm just kind of talking off screen. Happens all the time. Maybe I should flip that round. But no, I've been very pardon me, choky, which I do apologize for. Hopefully for next time that'll be wound in a bit. But no, now that we've kind of covered up what a lot of people have seen already, with regards to press events and kind of what the wonderful public like Lady Monkey and so on has managed to get a hold of at PAX, what's the biggest thing that you're looking forward to the most? People, obviously, we don't want to let out what else is in the game, but you know. There's still a large amount of game at the moment that a lot of people haven't seen yet. So that must be kind of exciting for you. Like kind of people see all of this kind of stuff that people haven't really been able to go much further beyond this point, as far as what we've got control over. And we've got, what, how many days now? You must have a calendar countdown.
I don't know, but it's probably 65 days.
The 65 days is coming quick. It's coming quick. It is coming very, very quick. And we will kind of belay a couple more outside of this area kind of things out as we get closer to release, just to keep everyone interested and engaged. Because Ricardo's and Bruno and the rest of the team have been kind of bursting at the seams to kind of share as much as humanly possible with all of you, because people's kind of feedback has been so exciting on it. One thing I would like to point out specifically, first of all, thank you very much, everyone, for jumping in. I've had a pretty good time. Ricardo, you had a pretty good time. Had a pretty good time. Yeah,
I love it.
I feel like I want to do one of these, but like without the game. Like I feel like maybe before release we do one of these without the game, and we just maybe we try and get Bruno and Cristal on us as well, and we just kind of structure it all up, and we get a nice graphic drawn up for everything, and we pull everybody in, and we just sit and have a discussion wholesale about influences and horror games that we enjoy, and just kind of because a lot of people are enjoying what they've played and seen of this game, but a lot of us are just kind of horror fans in general, right? And we can talk about that stuff for hours. So maybe that's something that we look at doing.
And
And
so like to give a big shout out to Chiara. She did all the Italian localization of the game.
Oh, I had no idea.
She did wonderful work here.
Oh, you know what? That is bully on me. Thank you so much for your input, Chara. Because honestly, that's the kind of stuff that helps build a much better experience for everybody. Because we I don't know much Italian. Don't tell my boss, but I don't know that much Italian. So that's definitely a hole in my in my knowledge. So what is next for those who remain? Obviously, we are going to be pulling in Ricardo and Bruno and the rest of the team in over the next few weeks, and getting kind of a little bit more face and name and experience out there. One thing we do have going is we recently, as of just during PAX, actually created a Discord. I know a few of you are already in it. A dedicated Discord related to those who remain, just so we can put more directly in front of you. For those that maybe use Discord more than Twitter and Facebook and so on and so forth. After the stream, there is going to be a few direct shout-outs, kind of inviting everyone to come and join it, so on and so forth. We've got some nice little graphics put together for it. It's a thing. We'll get everybody in there. Over the course of the game, and you may have seen a few posters and names kind of mentioned and laid around over the opening areas of the game. There are people in the universe of those who remain that may or may not have had experiences and may or may not have been directly involved with this kind of situation before, that by the time the game comes round, that they are but footnotes in the kind of the story of Edward. But those that are in the Discord are going to very soon, within the next couple of weeks, be able to kind of see a little bit more of a direct link between the events of those who remain and the state of Dormont and some of those characters beforehand. So there will be a couple of things that are a bit more specific to that going out over the next couple of weeks. But if you are interested in the universe and the story of those who remain, just a little bit outside of Edward and what is in the game directly, then please make sure you are in that Discord, because when we start dropping that stuff, it's going to be a lot of fun for everybody involved, and we can't wait to share those stories with all of you. It's going to be good fun. It's going to be a lot of love. He says. It's going to be awesome. But no, thank you very much, everyone, for coming on out here. Carfus, look at this dude. No, look at you, dude. You called us as we're wrapping up. Hello there, Carfus. Perfect timing. Impeccable timing, as always. But we are going to wrap up the show for now. As always, my favorite part, the ending, or as Ricardo has already pointed out, the awful ending, the good ending, the bad ending, and the very much ugly ending, which we will hope you will all avoid as much as possible, or not, as the case may be. But no, thank you all very much for jumping in and hanging out. Thank you for all of your kind words and motivation and kind of all of the feedback from PAX. We've loved hearing all of it. It's been super exciting. And Ricardo, is there anything in particular you'd like to sign off with before we wrap up?
No, I just want to thank everyone for watching, for the interest in the game. And it's been a pleasure doing this game for you guys.
Awesome, and we are super duper hype that you're putting it out with us, because it's a project that I'm very much in love with as someone that adores Twin Peaks and Silent Hill and horror and hates spiders. And it's some big spiders on gas stations. Yeah, thanks. I'm not sleeping tonight. It's all good. No, it is fantastic. So those of you that are here, once again, thank you very much. Keep an eye over Twitter and Facebook for all of the links up to the Discord. Get yourselves in there to keep track of the kind of greater story of Dormont and those who remain outside of Edward in the coming weeks. And also don't forget to keep an eye on those wish lists and everything along that way. There's a lot of things that you can do to kind of shout out and make the game exciting. So that's something that we're very, very thankful for. But this has been Gary over at Wild Productions. This has been Ricardo from the wonderful Campbell team that have been responsible for putting this game together. You guys have all been breathtaking, top to bottom. We will catch you folks next week for more streams, and we will catch you on the socials for all of your feedback and questions.
Thank you so much.
Take care.